Hey guys, what's up? I'm Mike Ritt. I'm going to be building you a Flemish twist bowstring for the Sandlita Royal X8. That's the bow we've been testing out and working on. I did a side plate reduction to get it closer to center shot, worked on the shelf a little bit, and flattened the grip up to get a better hand feel on your bow hand. I'm not going to show you how to do that because I don't want to be held reliable for anybody that does mess with their bow and messes it up or gets hurt. But for this bowstring, we're going to do a hybrid bowstring. It's going to be 10 strands of D97 and 2 strands of B55 just to add a little bit of color. You're going to need your bow square. I use a lighter, knock tying material, a little extra serving material that I have here I might use for tying in the string silencers. I don't know how those are going to work yet. These are the ones that came with the Sandlita kit. You're going to need a serving jig. This one is from Bear Paw. String wax. I make this stuff myself. Your scissors. The old bowstring, or we can use the AMO length of the bow. With a recurve, you're going to be 4 inches shorter than what the AMO length is, which is 60 inches. So we need a 56-inch string. You need your Flemish twist jig, which I made this. There's plenty of plans online on how to build these. There's definitely a learning curve when you do that, or you can buy one on different websites, like Three Rivers I know has one. So I've clamped down the string jig just so that it doesn't move around a whole lot. Move some of this out of the way. On here I have stuff written down to help me to remember which direction I need to go, the bow length and string length. I have the twist lengths for the bottom and top, and I have the loop size for the top and bottom. That'll come on into play here in a little bit. This is the D97. Now, my arrow is showing that I need to go this way with it. You're going to come back to the, we need a 56-inch string for a 60-inch bow. Now, I had to play with this and made probably 5 or 6 strings before I got the actual length down on which pin I needed to go to. We're going to do 10 strands of this. So we're going to be doing 2 different bundles, which means that 10 strands is going to be split up into 2 bundles of 5. When I get 5 strings, I'll take my razor blade, if I can find it. Here it is. Hold this tight and then just slice right down the middle. That gives you 1 bundle. Then I'll take my bowstring wax from the center. I'll just give it a couple swipes. Down here on the ends where we're going to be doing the twist, you want to give a little extra. Same thing with the other side. I'll just set this one to the side. We got to do one more bundle of 5 with the D97. This jig makes it so that the this jig makes it so that the strings will taper in. That's what this section's for here. You gotta make sure that you go to the right peg also. We need the 56-inch string. Now for the accent stripes. I'll just mix that one in with one of the bundles. What I'm going to do is really fold these in half and then match them together. Now I'm just going to work that string in with the D97. Need a little more wax. So when you start to twist these up, we're going to just match these ends up on each bundle. On my board, we're going to do the top string first. And I'm going by the D97 because the accent stripes are a little bit longer. But on my board, I have a measurement out here for the top loop. And that's where I'll start twisting. Now you want to go clockwise on both of these. Clockwise, and then over the top counterclockwise, and bring the one underneath. Twist it clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. And you'll start to get the Flemish twist. But we're going to do that until we can get a loop big enough for the top loop. And I have that measured out over here. Now you can clamp this back end into something so that you can get them tighter, but I clamp it with the 2 fingers on there and then hold the loops tight with these 2 fingers. Twist it. So we're going to see if that loop's big enough. I don't think so. Need to keep going. Now, that's my top loop. So here's the tricky part. You have to try and match up these 2 bundles. So we're going to untwist, untangle these strings enough to where we can lay these bundles in together. Those 2 will go together, and then the opposite 2. Work them in a little bit so that they lay better. The wax helps them stick together. Just like that. And you're just going to do the same thing, and you're going to go the whole way down past all of your little tags. So I'll start by twisting both of these up tight, and then you can even pull them on a nail or something like that. Twist them. You'll have to keep untangling your strands. and get down towards the tag ends, just let them come out wherever they come out. So like this one here is going to be coming out there. This one might come out there with that one. We'll cut those off later. Once you get through all the tag ends and it starts getting to the smaller string, you're going to go about 1 inch past so that it locks everything together. Now I'm just clockwise, twisting them counterclockwise. It's the same thing as when we first started. You have to keep untangling. Alright, once you get past your tag ends about 1 inch, we have to unwind each one of these strands whichever way it goes to get it to go so that they're even, and then the same amount of turns you have to go back the other way for whenever we do the other side loop, and turn everything in. That the strings will line up nice and it won't be like two ropes sitting together. I'll probably be off camera for that. I slid that down a little bit. So what I was saying was you need to unwind these strands. I need to turn these clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 gets me so that they're untangled, and then I need to keep going 12 the same direction to twist it the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And do the same thing with this one. Back the other way. That makes it so that when we twist up the other side for the other loop and come back on the string, you'll actually be twisting back the opposite way, which will untwist what we just did and make all the strings line up together. If you do it, if you make your string right thus far and you twist everything up right, your ends should line up just nice and smooth like that. Now we're going to do the opposite loop. We'll get rid of these tag ends then when we're stretching the string out. Same thing as the other side. I want to measure out. Now we're doing the bottom loop. I try and always do the top loop first on everything and then the bottom loop so I don't get confused. So now we'll line up the bottom loop, which is going to be a little smaller so you're not going to have as much of a tag end. And it's the same process. Work your bundles together. If you need, you can add a little more wax. Clockwise. Twist the bundles counterclockwise. saying about you can use some kind of a clamp. You're just going far enough to get your bottom loop. So we'll measure that out again. Gotta go a little farther. It's faster for me just to do it when I hold it in my hands. It's about where we need to be. Now you're going to line your bundles back up again. Untangle this. This one wants to come over top. Work your strands together. Just like that. And then start twisting again. You can see these accent stripes have now unwound so that they're all kind of straight, and that's what we want, because when we twist it together we want it to be one rope instead of two ropes helixing each other. Alright, so the GoPro died and my camera ran out of space on the phone, so I had to redo a certain section of this. But now we have both the top and the bottom loop, and the next step is to stretch it out and see what length we ended up with. So this is my homemade string stretcher, and if you haven't noticed, a lot of the stuff that I use, a lot of the jigs I just made myself out of stuff I had lying around because I'm cheap. And put just a little bit of tension on it, and we'll see what it measured out. ends up being 57 inches. And that's okay because we're gonna twist this up and make it shorter. So when you twist it, you want to make sure you twist it the same way that the Flemish twist is going, which is counterclockwise. That's 15 turns. I'm just going to rub some of that wax in. Get the strands all nice and even. I said earlier not to worry about these tag ends. We'll end up cutting them off when the string is nice and tight. The D97 will stretch a little bit. If you make a bowstring just out of B55, it'll stretch a lot. Go a little bit more. That's about 56 1/4. So I'm going to let it stretch some more, and then we'll let it stretch a little bit more, and then we'll twist it up, see if we can't get to 56 inches. So while that's stretching, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll just let the tension on it. I might get one more crank out of it, but we can take the tags off now. All you're doing is taking your razor blade and being very careful not to hit the main bowstring. Just cutting them off. And then what wax you have in the string will help the little tiny tassels lay into the string nice and smooth. Alright, we'll let that sit for like 15 minutes and then we'll go into serving. The string's been stretching now for about an hour, so we'll measure it out, see where we're at. It's at 56 1/8, and that'll be fine. So now to do the serving, we're going to need your bow square or a tape measure, but we need to measure the center point of the string, which is 28 inches. Put a mark. And then I'll go 3 inches above center. and 7 inches below center to get you a 10-inch serving. I'll start at the top, and we're gonna get about I don't know, 5-6 inch tag, and you want to go the same way that your bowstring is going. I'll hold this tight, and I'll wrap a bunch of times over top of that serving string to lock it in. Tighten this up a little bit once it slips. I'll leave a tag on the end on this for now. We'll burn that in. But to get the right tension on it so that it'll give you enough string, but it won't slide off of there too easy. You're just going to take it the whole way down to that other mark. Now we got to do a back serving, so you get some slack. You're going to make a loop, and then you're going to take your serving jig through that loop. I like to go 8 or 10 times. Then I'm going to get slack on the jig, and I'm going to take a clamp and then come across, and I'll use a clamp and just clamp that back on itself so it doesn't go anywhere. And then we're gonna wrap this, and as you wrap it, it's gonna unwrap this side and it wraps over top of the string that you clamped. Once you get that, unclamp your string and just pull this tight. And it goes underneath all those serving threads. Now you can take your lighter and just burn that in. Careful not to burn the serving itself, just the tag, and then tap it out and it'll melt itself to the serving. Same thing with this one. There's your serving. Alright, so I took the string off of the stretcher. I twisted it up a couple more times to get to 56 inches and put it on the bow. We're going to check our brace height. And that's looking like 7 3/4, which is right in the range. If you remember right, from the last video, recommended brace height is between 7 and 8 inches. And then with the original string, I ended up a little over 8 inches for the best arrow flight. We're going to test all that out later on after we're done with this bowstring. But next, we're going to place the bow square onto the string. And because I don't have shelf material on here, I'm going to give it just a little bit above this shelf. And I like to have my top knock at 5/8 of an inch above center. So there's your 0 where your shelf's at, and then we'll mark right at 5/8 of an inch, and that's where the first knock will go on. So now we'll take the string back off of the bow, put it back on the stretcher, and we'll tie knocking points on. Alright, we're back on the string stretcher, and we're going to tie the top knock in. Need a length of string, the knock tying thread. About that long. And I like to melt the ends so you don't have them all frayed like that. Now this knot's pretty difficult to get a hang of. Hopefully I can get a close-up view of it. It's not, in the last video I said I learned it from Trevor from Triple T Strings. I didn't come up with this knot by myself. There's other ways that are much easier, but this knot locks in pretty good once you get it tight. So you're going to place your thread or whatever you're going to use for your knocking points on top, and then I'm going to go 6 times around. And I don't always get this on the first try. Sometimes I have to tie it a couple times. So then once you have six times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're going to take this strand and go under the middle loop And this one is going to do the same thing, just the opposite direction. Then you're just going to slowly tighten these up. Try not to overlap any of the loops. And then our knocking point is here, so I have to move that string up. If you do it right, the ends will lock themselves underneath this loop here. Then we're just going to cut the tag ends off and burn those tag ends in. And that gets you your top knock. I changed my mind. I want to put these string silencers in before I go out and start shooting the bow, because I think that these will change the tune a little bit if I do it afterwards. I've never used these fur beaver ball type string silencers. I watched a couple videos on how to put them on. It looks pretty simple, but we're gonna loosen the string, separate the strands, put them in, wind the fur in, and that should be it. You don't tie them in at all. The twists of the bowstring hold them in. So first I want to measure where I want to put them, and to get them even, I'm going to go probably, we'll start at like, we'll start winding them at 10 inches and then come down a little bit. And we'll come down, I'm not sure how far yet. So now I'm just going to separate. I might need help here with the pencil. Separate the two bundles of strands. just going to wrap it the same way the bowstring is going. And you do the same thing, split the strands and then just stick it back down through. This is almost a pain in the butt. I'd rather just tie in cat whiskers. Alright y'all, that's how I build my Flemish twist bowstrings. Next step is just to put it on the bow and go test it out. We'll see how these fur silencers do. I'll probably end up putting on the cat whiskers. I prefer those over anything like this, that when it gets wet, it's going to compromise the actual functionality of the material. So, alright, thanks for watching. Appreciate all of you. Remember, stay focused, and I'll catch you on the next video.